Hello everybody and welcome back to Norwich Talk for another transfer type video. We're going to be chatting about Jamal Lewis today. As I'm sure we've all seen sort of within the media, he's been linked with a move to Liverpool, which potentially, according to Sky Sports, could see Yasser Larouci, a Liverpool youngster, come to Norwich City in the same position as well. I'm intending to keep this video sort of short and sweet because my views are very straightforward on this. I'm sure we're all sort of on the same boat in terms of Jamal Lewis shouldn't go to Liverpool, and I think this is an interesting video from my perspective because on this channel before I've said that I think Jamal Lewis has hit a ceiling at Norwich City and I wouldn't be surprised to see him leave. I'll get onto that a little bit later in this video. So now today I've not turned to the Pinkin for a transfer rumour, which is a nice surprise, a nice change as well, but instead Sky Sports, and I was watching it this morning, or I was watching a clip from it this morning, and it was two guys chatting about Jamal Lewis and Liverpool because Liverpool apparently want to strengthen their left back position. Obviously they've got Andy Robertson at the moment, but beyond that they've not got anyone who can really contend with him, and in terms of looking at it from a Liverpool's perspective, to retain a title, you need to avoid complacency, and by bringing players in who are going to compete with the current crop of players who are good enough, you're going to have to sort of bring them in to further the competition and drive on to retain the Premier League title, and just, just sort of keep striving forward as a club, which Liverpool are doing. So from a Liverpool perspective, this would be a pretty decent signing. From their perspective as well, maybe looking at it more from a Liverpool fan's perspective, you'd look at Jamal Lewis as another young player from Norwich City, and you'd see him as this player with a lot of potential, although I don't think, much like every other fan who's not a Norwich City fan, they will have seen the worst of Jamal Lewis, I'll say. I don't mean to be too harsh, but I think we all sort of understand what I'm saying. But yeah, that's what I've watched and read. I'm sure we've all seen this same clip. So what do I actually make of this transfer rumour then? I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it'll be a very sensible one. There's a few reasons for that. The first being the price that's being mentioned, which is £10 million. You look at it from a Liverpool perspective, which is that this is a young defender who has been part of a regular part of a team who have shipped a lot of goals this season. And I think they would probably think a £10 million price is a fair valuation of Jamal Lewis. But if you look at it from a Norwich City perspective, and more specifically a Stuart Webber perspective, he'll know that he can drive that price up. And the important thing is that Norwich aren't in a position where they have to sell, which is really going to play in their favour going into this transfer window, maybe January as well, if these young players stay and do quite well. But also, I think mainly for his, from Jamal Lewis's perspective, I don't think he'd develop at Liverpool. I think it would be great to be coached by one of the world's best coaches. Now, it sounds a bit ridiculous me saying that, and a bit obvious, but at the same time, you learn the most on a football pitch playing games. He wouldn't do that at Liverpool for me. If you look at a player like Andy Robertson at the moment, he's probably one of the better left-backs in Europe, and as annoying as he is actually particularly rather quite good at football, and Jamal Lewis would very much sort of take that understudy role. And the thing that I keep saying is that, given this ceiling that he's hit at Norwich City, I personally think the only way he'll sort of raise the ceiling, raise the roof, go beyond the expectation that I've set, of course, not everyone else or anyone else for that matter, is to continue playing first team football like he has been at Norwich City, and he wouldn't do that at Liverpool. And that's the main argument for me as to why I don't think he should leave Norwich. I don't think he will for the price mentioned. If Liverpool want to bump it up to £20 million, I think Stuart Webber would be a bit more receptive. I say that like they've made a bid. There's no bid apparently that's been made, but I'm sure if a bid was to come in for £10 million, it would be rejected, which sort of links me back to the point that if it was put up to £20 million, it probably would be accepted. But the main reason for me, as I said, is the fact that he wouldn't play much football. Now, another thing that Sky Sports mentioned was that Norwich were looking to bring in Yasser Larouci, who could be part of the deal. Whether that would knock off some of the price of Jamal Lewis, that probably would be the case, I think. But at the same time, it's very interesting to me, and the reason I don't believe it is for the reasons that I've mentioned, but also for the fact that we've got Sam McCallum. Now, I don't know if Sam McCallum will be ready for first team football next season. I don't think any Norwich City fan knows that because we've not seen him play. The only person who'll know that is Daniel Farke and probably Stuart Webber. And it would be really bizarre to me to bring in a sort of a highly rated young left back in this, the same position as Sam McCallum, this other highly rated young fullback, and sort of have them compete or whatever. I don't know how that situation would play out. But for me, Sam McCallum is a reason that Yasser Larouci wouldn't join Norwich City. What do we know about Yasser Larouci? We don't really know too much. much. He sort of played most of his football at 23s level and under. He did actually play in the FA Cup against Tranmere this season when Liverpool fielded the kids. But yeah, I don't see that one happening. I don't see it being much of a bargaining chip. As I mentioned earlier, he's been linked with Brentford and Leeds. Now, Brentford are a club who love their young players just as much as Norwich City do. Leeds just being promoted to the Premier League, of course. So quite clearly he is rated. Although when I was reading these articles about sort of Brentford and Leeds, Norwich City weren't actually mentioned, and that's sort of more today. Maybe yesterday, I'm not actually sure when the video came out, but I saw it today. But yeah, I don't know if that would be used as a bargaining chip. It probably would, but for the reason that Sam McCallum exists at Norwich City, I don't see it happening, which is probably fair enough and makes sense to me. But yeah, the conclusion to this video, of which I am trying to keep nice and short, is that a move to Liverpool would be brilliant for Jamal Lewis in terms of this idea of he'd go and train with some of the best players in the world. But as a youngster, the lessons you learn are on the football pitch. And would he get on a football pitch in a Liverpool top? I don't think so. Purely for the reason that Andy Robertson, as I mentioned, is one of the best left backs in Europe at the moment. And does he plan on changing that anytime soon? I don't think so. I'm a huge admirer of Andy Robertson's footballing ability, and sort of being an opposition fan to Liverpool, I find him really annoying. But perhaps that is the cutting edge that he has about him, which improves his general quality, and the fact that he loves to sort of wind up players, and I think we need a bit more of that at Norwich City, but that's a whole different video for a different day, isn't it? But yeah, I think they're my thoughts overall. I'm very keen to know yours in the description box down below. Now, one thing that I did forget to mention was that we have finally hit 1,000 subscribers, which I'm incredibly grateful for. Me and Jordan are very, very grateful for the support that's being shown on the channel at the moment. The numbers have been really sort of improving, which is so nice, but also at the same time the engagement has been improving in the comments as well. There have been some very interesting ones, and I do love to reply to them because I do just want to talk about football, and I'm sure every sort of Norwich City and just sort of general football fan media channel will tell you it is all just about talking about football because we all love it, and there's different ways of doing it, and obviously we choose to do video. But yeah, a big thank you for helping us reach 1,000 subscribers. But that is everything for this video. If you can also go and check out the review with Along Come Norwich, it was really good fun to film with them guys. Some really top guys doing some brilliant work as well. They're sort of the masterminds behind the Yellow Wall at Carrow Road, as well as sort of raising a lot of money for charities, given their sort of Norwich City face masks. But I'll emphasise the message now that I did at the end of that video, which is go and buy one of the face masks, because if you are going to wear one, why not let it be a Norwich City one, because they look brilliant as well, and it's nice to sort of go out in style wearing a face mask, isn't it? But yeah, that is just about everything for this video. So until next time, we'll see you again very soon.